Okay, we're at the first lawn of the day. It is wet, wet, wet. It poured rain all night. Not poured, but it rained pretty good all night. And everything is soaked. So I fixed that throttle cable and the choke cable both on the Toro. I have not run it since. So let's see how well it's going to do, because this is a pretty bumpy yard. And if that throttle cable is going to back off, this will be the yard it does it in. So let's see how it's going to do.
I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Okay, so it did great. Didn't back off one time. Throttle stayed right where it needed to be. When I pulled the choke cable out to start it, choke worked perfectly fine. Everything's a plus. Everything's a go. But man, I'll tell you what, I absolutely love that turbo force deck on that Toro for wet grass. The Skag, the Walker, they both probably would have blown out some chunks here and there, and I would have had to go over it twice or else break it up with a backpack blower. But not that turbo force deck. It just blew it out and fanned it out nice and even. And you know, I wasn't cutting a lot off, but I was cutting a pretty decent amount off in some spots where it was thicker, and everything worked perfectly fine. No laying grass, no nothing. Love that thing when it's wet. Or in dry conditions. Does freaking awesome in dry conditions too, but for wet grass, never an issue with that mower. Okay, you guys just saw me mow that one. The backyard took twice as long as normal. There was a ton of leaves back there, and it's not even a fraction of what's going to come down. This one right over here, this is the one I told you where I do both of these back to back, and the backyards are huge across there. This one here, the guy told me to come out today and told me not to cut it. That grass is probably 6 inches tall right there. Now, why did I tell you that? Because this is the flip side of the coin from the video I made yesterday about cutting properties I didn't think need cut, but they're commercial and they want them done anyway. Those need cut, and the guy on the left told me not to cut it. Now here's what I do, because a lot of people ask. So in August and then parts of September, when we're getting droughts in this area usually, I'll switch things to bi-weekly, or some of them even every third week if they really don't need it, and I'll skip them and I won't cut them. But we've had leaves falling earlier this year than normal, so for the last couple weeks I've been bagging up or mulching up leaves in a lot of areas, this one being one of those areas. And some areas the grass is still barely growing from that drought that we had, and other places, like right there, it's growing like crazy. This is what I do. I tell the customers in August, like I said, bi-weekly, every 3 weeks, whatever it needs it. And September, I usually don't like to skip that much. I might skip a week in the beginning of September, but for the other half of September, and definitely for the whole month of October, I never skip a week. And the reason is because I stay on top of them every week to keep them mulched up the best that I can, so that come November, when they all fall, it's not twice as much work for me at the same time for the same money. Because a lot of customers, when you tell them, oh, well, you know, it's going to be double now because I haven't been here to stay up on them, or to keep them mulched or bagged or whatever the case may be, and some of those yards grow that freaking tall, and then the leaf's on top of that, so now you have to cut it at the highest setting, otherwise it'll clog your bagger, and you get it cut down, bagged up, mulched up, whatever, then you lower it down, got to go over it again, when it all could have been avoided if I was allowed to stay up on it from week to week. So I tell the customers now, I just started it last year, and I've actually had to drop a couple, but I started last year, and I told them, I said, here's the deal. Either you allow me to stay up on it from week to week, or I won't pick you back up in the spring. And that's just how it is. Because, or I tell them, you know, if you cut me off at the beginning of October and then want me to come back in November, once all leaves are down, do a leaf cleanup, it's going to be double what it normally is. And if they're fine with paying it, then fine, no big deal. But if they're not fine with paying it, which most of the time they're not, because they think, oh, you're still just doing one cleanup, they don't understand, no matter how much you explain it to them. So you got to get paid for what you do. Don't be afraid to drop these customers if they try to nickel dime you or try to cheap out on you and make your work, your job twice as hard and make you do twice the work for the same money. Don't allow it. Don't let it happen, because they will. Some customers are super cool, like I said, they're like, fine, you know, whatever, charge me what you have to, do a cleanup. But other customers, they'll take you to the bank. So put your foot down. Okay, so for this yard, leaf season's in full effect. So let me show you what I'm working with. I'm looking through the back of the camera and it doesn't look like that much, but trust me, there's a lot there, even more over there, and even more on the further side. So let's bag these up with the walker and see what we could do. how clean that yard is. It was covered in leaves. This one gets really bad. I've showed this many times in the past. This one gets really bad, but it's clean now. So that's why I love that Walker. That thing will clean up like there's no tomorrow. I had to, on that one last section in the middle there, I had to raise the deck up higher, go over it, and take the thick stuff off, because I know it's hard to tell on the camera there, but it was about 7-8 inches thick. And take that off and then drop the deck down and go over and clean up the last little bit. Looks like it was vacuumed clean. It does that good of a job. I did clog one time, which I haven't clogged since I started running them Versamo blades. Last fall season was the first season I've ever run the MT and never clogged the entire season. Not with little sticks, not with nothing, just chews it right up. The Versamos, very expensive, but well worth it. I mentioned that in other videos, and that's why. So, but I did clog one time because apparently the alarm on the hopper took a crap on me again, which I usually replace that thing once a year. I always keep a spare in the toolbox, which I have one in there now, so I'll change that out when I get home. But and order another one, so then I still have a backup. They're like 20 bucks a piece or something. So that was it. But the leaves are definitely coming down heavy in some of my yards, and other ones don't have a single leaf. So we did get a heavy windstorm the other night, so that explains why the leaves came down. Plus we got a good amount of rain last night, so that helped them come down too. But they're changing fast, and full leaf season will be on us before you know it.
Make sure you hit the subscribe button, leave a thumbs up, and comment if you want to. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. We'll see you in the next one.